The Prince of Wales, how Prince William hopes to save marine mammals.
And it's official, Meghan Markle has spent more time chasing clout on Instagram than she spent as a working royal. Welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples on both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right here in California.
And I'm Rupert Bell here in the United Kingdom, and I'll be bringing you all the latest news on the Prince and Princess of Wales.
I almost called Meghan, well, I wouldn't do it because I'm a little bit more respectful than this, but like the thought crossed my mind to refer to her as the Instagram loving wife, the title from that South Park episode. It's meaner than what I just said, but it's so funny how many people have approached me over the last week, Rupert, and we'll get to Harry and Meghan later, but it's so funny how many people have approached me this last week after the twerking video to be like, did South Park predict all of this? Is South Park coming to life?
It was when that dropped. I think you sent it to me.
I did. I'm sorry. I'm
and I'm
sorry.
thinking, and because I've sort of been doing derbies and all that sort of stuff, and then it comes to me, and I think, is this a parody? Is this a joke? Are we sure? And then obviously it transpires that twerking video was absolutely true, and it beggared belief. And I know we've got plenty more to talk about them later on, but it just it it's certainly over here in the UK, even though they're sort of defending it over there, aren't they? Saying, "Yeah, everybody happy." It's only in the UK that we are stunned by this. I mean, I just think it was the tackiest, most ignorant thing to post on
Yeah.
someone's but on the birthday of your child. You
And
know why?
is anybody gonna mention the fact that like Archie gets like one picture, the back of his head, but for Lily, we tried to make it a national holiday, 4 grid posts. Like, did Lily and what I mean, why is Lily the second coming? It's clear that she's the favorite child, and that's so awful for poor Archie. Archie's probably already like, I'm over this family. But let's talk about some happier news right off
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
top. David Attenborough, I love seeing him with Prince William, and they did a special interview. Now they recorded it in May, but we're just now getting access to it, talking about the human impact on the deep ocean floor. Unspeakably awful is what he said of what he witnessed during a conversation with Prince William, and he's promoting this new documentary. Now, they recorded this, which I thought was interesting, at London's Royal Festival Hall in early May. It was shared on social media on Saturday. The feature-length documentary Ocean with David Attenborough explores how his lifetime has coincided with the great age of ocean discovery and why a healthy ocean keeps the entire planet stable and flourishing. It's available to stream now. Dream Team and Prince William takes this initiative and brings it into his event over the weekend.
Yeah, he's been in Monaco, speaking about the sort of state of the oceans under the sort of the guise of his sort of Earthshot initiatives and what he's trying to do around that, which is very much in keeping. And he's drawing attention. And with David Attenborough, 99, an absolute icon over here, probably a global icon in terms of what he's achieved with all the nature programs. Look, he's been a passport to my life right from it started. And he's an extremely interesting character. He was actually a former head of a TV channel when BBC Two started. He's such a interesting person, but obviously he's known for his conservation efforts. And this, I think, does draw in one of the things he said. And actually, this was the starkest statement in my mind. He said, if it was on the land and we were seeing what we were doing to the ocean floor, we'd probably be up in arms and doing our level best to try and sort out the situation. But because it's, hundreds of feet under sea or maybe 1,000 of feet under sea level, people just sort of don't really know and sort of are ignoring it. And I think that's the point of what they're trying to highlight, that we need to be aware, because without the oceans, it's far bigger, takes up more of the earth than the land, and we need to be aware of what's going on in the sea. Now, I know spend some time, which is much more your sort of area of expertise and understanding what goes on in the oceans. But we only have to see, the pollution that's out there in the sea, the plastics and everything that's going on there. It doesn't take the brains of an archbishop to work out that we do need to do something to sort this out. So maybe, again, Prince William trying to draw attention to it. There's a big focus on what's going on within the oceans over the next week or so as well. And this was a prelude going down to Monaco. Not the worst place to go to for a weekend, I wouldn't suggest, but all the same, I think it is something that we are all aware that, whether it be land and sea, that we should try and find a way, if we can, to be just a bit more environmentally aware. And whatever's causing it, that creates a whole new debate. But we can all see for ourselves that there are things that are just not quite right.
Yeah, he quoted while he was in Monaco, and he gave this speech partially in partially in French, I should say, which I love when the royals do that. We see him sometimes do. We see him sometimes do it in Wales, don't we? See him speak it.
I think, well, the King used to try and speak a bit of Welsh,
Yeah.
and I'm sure the current Prince of Wales, i.e., William, will do the same. It's quite good
Oh,
PR.
I think
Quite
I think
sensitive.
I have seen him do it in Wales before, because I think when I saw him do it in Wales, it reminded me of when Princess Diana spoke in Welsh, but it was just a few things she said, but I think that I have seen him do it, and it always, to me, is just it's like it's his way of being respectful to the country he's in, and really showing his commitment to the country that he's in. And he's in this room with over 1,000 world leaders. They have to sit back and we laugh about nepotism all the time. We laugh about the nepo babies, but this is putting in the real work to prove that you belong, that you're in the room.
Well, you can't actually accuse him of being a nepo baby. You can't, right? Because it's just that's not the way it works. He has no choice.
Yeah.
This is his birthright, as it were. Constitutionally, unless we get rid of the monarchy, he has no other choice, but he will automatically become king on the death of his father. It's just it's a. I wouldn't be using the phrase nepo baby with regard to him. What is important is that he is seen to be offering some statesmanlike view, because he does have and will have, as we saw with the King going to Canada, the role of the Prince of Wales is probably to draw attention and use his position to draw attention to things that, okay, in his case, that he's passionate about, but also helping to draw by his ability to communicate with people, bringing people who might be able to help really affect the change that's necessary. It is his role to draw attention to it and then try and bring the parties together to actually see if something positive and some change can happen.
And that's what's cool about this, because it's the Blue Economy and Finance Forum. And so that's now he's not just in the room with world leaders, he's in the room with people with fat wallets that can make those types of decisions and can contribute in that way. Yeah, I know in whale class, we talk about how there's like so much plastic in the ocean that some of it has collected, and it's like the size of an island. That's just plastics floating around in the ocean. I use my paper straws. I prefer my metal straws, but I'll use paper straws if I have to. I hate paper straws, but I feel bad about all the plastics in the ocean. So even when we go whale watching, if we see a balloon that's like floating around, we always go out of the way to stop and grab it, because that stuff can really hurt our marine mammals. But yeah, of course, I love watching Prince William talk about this, and I hate to already go here, but if you look at some of the things he says, the truth is that healthy oceans are essential to all life on Earth. They generate half the world's oxygen, regulate our climate, and provide food for more than 3 billion people today. They need our help. If we save the sea, we save the world. He's actually quoting David there, but Sir David there, but still. it seems like there's so much more depth and detail when we hear from Prince William than when like Harry's in China. When Harry was like, it's hard, when you challenge the world, it can be hard. Okay, well, welcome to common sense, brother.
Yeah, well, this is the big difference, and actually the difference in their situations. Harry, if he was still in the royal family, might have an ability to do what William is doing and actually work to that effect. In a sense, Harry now is clutching at straws and trying to give an air of
Probably plastic
seriousness.
straws too. They're probably not even paper straws, Rupert.
Okay, anyway, but whatever he's doing, but I do appreciate what William is trying to do because it links to his Earthshot, which is a significant initiative that he has put a lot of time and effort into and does seem to have a growing sort of significance in the kind of encouraging people to be innovative when it comes to the environment. And obviously, the ocean is an area that does need innovation to make sure that we don't ruin our primary asset, as you just listed there. It is a giant food basket if treated correctly, and everything else, the air that we breathe and everything about the oceans needs to be treated with as much respect as the land. There's no difference, maybe even more so. But I think we have a complacency because most people live in land. If you don't live near the sea, it's sort of a forgotten thing. You don't even think about it. It's a bit, in many ways, it's a bit like people living in a urban environment. They don't really understand how they get their beef, beef burger. They don't, it comes in a plastic container, wrapped up in plastic. Thank you very much. And you eat it, but actually don't know the process of how it ends in that situation. It's obviously you don't want to know. And it may be something similar when it comes to the oceans. We are just ignorant because we never actually give it a moment's thought. We just assume it's going to be all right, but don't actually know. So that's why what David Attenborough's done, what Prince William has been doing over the weekend, is a small but hopefully significant step in making people aware of what is going wrong with our oceans.
What do you say to people? Because I watch a lot of British TV and I hear a lot of the anchors or hosts completely dismiss anything climate change related when it comes to Prince William or King Charles because they're on their helicopter or is that a something that they should address? Is that just the way it's going to be? Do you just go automatically dismiss that criticism you hear from some of those people that say they have a hard time taking William and the King seriously when it comes to talking about environmental issues?
Uh, you're probably damned if you do and damned if you don't. And this is the problem. They have a busy schedule. So if, for instance, when William went to Cornwall the weekend, which is a long way from Windsor,
Yeah.
with the Duchess of Edinburgh, it probably makes sense for a day to take a helicopter down there because it's a 3-hour train journey. And if you actually want to do something and commit and give a amount of time, then you need to be getting there as quickly as possible, just logistically. So I don't have a problem as long as there is always a thought at the back of the mind. Look, we always see people in sort of my neck of the woods down at Kemble and where quite often we'll see the Princess Royal just hop onto a train as she goes up to London, no, and just does that and gets on with it. And that I think if people actually look at the diary and say, right, well, we've got to get there. Where is it? Now, I wouldn't suggest that if there's an event near Windsor that you take helicopters, but if you're going to Cornwall, perhaps is it the end of the world? No. You've just got to be aware and from the optics. And I'm sure the royal family are very aware that they need to make sure the optics looks good, particularly if you are talking about the environment. But it don't mean that you can't take a helicopter. Just, the world is not going to be made any difference if they don't take one helicopter. I think it just means that maybe over the year, you just look and say, perhaps there's a little less than there was the previous year. And you work towards it and try and build a schedule that is actually conducive to reflecting the sort of our environmental concerns of both the King and the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, I almost wonder when I hear somebody be so dismissive if at the end of the day they just don't care. So it's an easy out. So it's an easy way to dismiss King Charles and Prince William because that's not something that they're necessarily passionate about in their Maserati or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
because they're not passionate about it, it's easy to dismiss King Charles and Prince William.
Well, and it's an easy headline, isn't it? There's a lot of easy headlines out there. It's just sort of, if you are of an environmental persuasion and that's your big thing, just to have a pop because, oh, look, they're taking another private jet or they're taking another helicopter. I think people have just got some common sense has always needs to be thought about in these circumstances. And there are the security issues. There are things that need to be considered above and beyond the black and white headline. Oh, look, they're taking a private jet again. Oh, look, they're taking a helicopter. I do think it is something they shouldn't, if possible, be taking private jets willy-nilly. But a helicopter, that is the way they get around the country. I don't have a problem with it.
All right, well, let's get to some stuff I do have a problem with.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
My immediate instinct when seeing the pictures of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry at Disneyland were Meghan Markle trying to recreate those iconic Princess Diana photos. Try, why show us? I mean, your family stresses that they want privacy. I have so many thoughts. I'm like verbally vomiting right now. Okay. First of all, every time she posts about an adventure outside of her house, she thanks thank you to Beyonce and her team. Thank you to Disneyland. I mean, it's just missing the hashtag sponsored, like hashtag ad,
Yeah.
hashtag sponsored. She just looks like the ultimate influencer. Thanks for the freebie is basically what it says. So that drove me crazy. I felt like they were absolutely trying to recreate Princess Diana's pictures. Why are we getting an entire week's long celebration for Lily? When Archie just gets one post, she's making me pull my hair out when it comes to what her activity right now. It's just like, chill out. Do you ever sleep? She's so blatantly addicted to Instagram and the attention she gets on Instagram. When is Prince Harry going to have the intervention?
Well, therein lies the problem. And actually, when you look at the Disney pictures, it looks like they got their personal private visit round there, and
Mhm.
they were followed by a photographer and
Yeah.
a film, and so it was staged, managed. There didn't seem to be any interaction with any of the, other people who were there. And actually, that's what children quite like to be around other children in those circumstances. Now, I appreciate, again, that you don't want them necessarily being besieged by all and sundry, but there is such a thing
But
as the
that's not
VIP.
going to happen at Disneyland.
Yeah,
Everybody's at Disneyland for the same thing.
yeah,
Celebrities walk around Disneyland all the
yeah.
time. That is not going to happen at Disneyland.
And actually, probably if they walked round and didn't have a camera crew working, most people probably wouldn't even give them a second glance.
Mm-mm.
But then that would be not what she would want.
Right.
So therein lies the problem. And actually, when you look at these poor photographs of Lilibet, we got a half a here, half a there, and then back view, all bit weird. The one person we keep seeing,
Meghan.
it's all about Meghan, and it's not about Lilibet. Now that obviously the Lilibet saga, we've been hearing about, they did not approach the Queen to ask, and they said they did, but it was telling that it was not featured in the spare book. They didn't sue the palace, even though, and when you think just the Queen was angry about Lily in the name of Lilibet. Now, it's not Lilibet's fault, if you see what I mean, but it's the parents' fault that they just thought they thought they were being clever and not really giving it because Harry has an inability to read the room, didn't think for one moment, this was a precious sort of nickname for his grandmother. Just, leave that alone, leave that as hers. And that's what upset the late Queen, because she just felt, they just went ahead and did it. And now you just see these contrived Disneyland photographs. Look, have
Yeah, one fake princess meets another
yeah,
fake princess because in
oh,
America we don't have princesses, okay?
yeah.
So you're not sorry.
And then they get a birthday cake. I do hope that Meghan did bring some flowers to sprinkle on it, and and elevate the cake yet further. But I don't know whether she did. But I look, it is a all children know Disneyland is a bit of a magical thing. We've all um, I think at times, traipsing my children around, I don't want to say bar humbug, but it's absolutely ersatz hell on earth to me. But I'm not in the majority here. Lots of people absolutely love it, and it's an absolute bucket list trip. So, and I've done it, and I did the Florida one, and stayed in the sports hotel there. Um, that was a lesson. So it was, but I mean, it's still great fun going around doing the rides and seeing it. And with a small child, do the wide-eyed stuff, and that's what it's all about. You even with these Disneyland pictures didn't feel it was wide-eyed enough,
No,
and
no, it all looks
becomes
like.
wide-eyed. It becomes wide-eyed enough if they are standing there at the parade when that's coming past and all that sort of thing. That's
Oh
what
my
people
gosh,
want
I
to
know
see.
some of my favorite pictures of my nephews are we're on the I took my nephews. I was like, let's go during the Super Bowl. No one will be there. Everyone was there, including Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. Super Bowl, not a great day to go. But we're on the teacups, and that's when the parade starts. And we just were oblivious. We didn't know we needed to be in position. So you're watching them break their necks because they're so excited. They're spinning and they're also trying to watch the parade that's going by. You're right. It's like there's one picture where Archie looks absolutely miserable. You can't see his face, but his body language says, "Get me out of here."
Yeah,
He's leaning into his dad like, "Ugh." But
yeah.
you said to me the second I sent you that, like you said to me, followed around by a photographer. And it's like, yeah,
Mm.
that's exactly what Prince Harry told Tom Bradby that he gets PTSD because of anybody trying to take his picture. And there's Meghan securing every single photo at Disneyland for her to share with strangers on the internet.
Yeah, and this is the hypocrisy of it all. Go and have a lovely family time, put it in your family album and collect, pictures around the house. I mean, I don't know. I haven't actually got one in where I'm talking to you from, but I don't have to go far. And I'm sure I've got pictures of my son having going around Disney, doing the water thing or whatever. Um, but you just do that.
Yeah.
What's the need? What is the need? Is it you're just trying to show
Well,
once again that you are the
let's transition. That this is the perfect segue because while Meghan's sources are telling the Daily Mail that America did receive the twerking video in a positive way, I call BS. Here's just the headline from page 6. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle escape to Disneyland with their kids after pregnancy video sparks outrage. Page 6 is one of the biggest entertainment sites in the United States of America, sparking outrage. While TMZ's tone wasn't critical of Meghan in the twerking video, the comments on TMZ and Meghan's video are horrific about what trash she is. So I think that Disney is a distraction. Look at me, forget the twerking video. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have plenty of more twerking coverage right here on Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. But here is what someone said. So I want to quote page 6 again, then we'll go into Daily Mail. Page 6, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made a quick getaway to Disneyland with their 2 kids as they continue to face backlash over their cringy pregnancy video. Cringe. That's the word that I heard so much from American media. According to the Daily Mail, these are a quote from a source. Meghan is very pleased with the video. In the UK, everyone's reaction has been a bit prudish, but everywhere else, particularly in America, and especially with young people, it has been a huge hit. What young person is looking at a knocked up person going like aspirational? Like, absolutely not. Young people are too busy throwing back a Celsius. Is that what the kids are drinking these days? And I don't know what else, they're on the TikTok. But a source also said Meghan doesn't care about the haters in Britain calling her vulgar. Americans thought the twerking video was hilarious and relatable. Meghan is about to launch a series of new products as part of her As Ever line, including a rosé wine. The source added she and her team counted the video as a win, which can only be a boost for sales. Her new products are marketed at Americans and not at a UK market.
Yeah, well then drop the Duchess of Sussex title then if
Drop the
everything's about
tea, drop the
yeah.
biscuits, everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're how
Yeah. If you're not actually, but you're still marketing yourself as the Duchess of Sussex, you've got no empathy or or understanding of how you've ended up where you are and with the title you are. And this once again, the narcissism involved with her in thinking that that was a good thing to put out. You are a member. Well, okay, you're not a member of the royal family, but you have been part of that institution. Your husband is, while he may not be a working royal, his father is the King of England.
with cancer.
What with cancer? Why do you think that there's anything but just tacky beyond belief to do that? Well, it's at a personal, private moment. That time when if you're in labour and you've got your partner with you, your husband, whoever with you at that time, that is it's often quite a stressful time. That just struck me as being, in just wrong. I don't know what made possessed her. Why? What was that about? Celebrating your daughter's birthday, and you've just managed to make it all about you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes me angry, because it should be about Lilibet and how proud they are of her. Now, when you see the Waleses, you get the sense that, yes, they put out a picture, and maybe Kate has taken it, or someone else has, someone else has taken it. But it's one picture. It's there to just say this is a picture. It gives the press something, and it's usually photographed in a nice location. What is wrong with doing that? Then to take it a stage further and produce a twerking video of something that happened 4 years ago, it just it beggars belief. And I can't. I keep thinking, being surprised every time I think, oh, where are we going to go next? And that just sort of takes it to a new level.
Low, a new low. Yeah.
A
So
new low. I mean, it just felt like that was scraping the barrel. And
yeah.
then what it also does, it's opened up all these conspiracy theories out there in a sort of mad feeding frenzy, which you go, oh my God,
But
you're a
she's done
hostage
it to
to.
herself. She's done it to
Yes,
like
that's the point.
you and I have discussed this privately. We refused to go there for
Yeah,
years. And now mainstream media outlets are asking me live on air with
yeah.
no warning, what's going on with the baby bomb? And I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I don't know when that video was actually shot. I don't know where it was actually shot. I just know Meghan uploaded it and claimed it was taken on this day.
Mm.
Now, Maureen Callahan reported a well-placed royal source shared this is there is a general sense in the palace that they have lost it. They also added that it's raised a lot of eyebrows and finished by saying that Meghan's utter lack of class was tragic, which goes to something I was told the day the video came out. I was talking to a friend that is very close to some senior members of the royal family, like older members of the royal family, and he said she is sick. They said Meghan is sick. That is, it's not just vulgar. That's the reaction. People are like, this is bordering on like disgusting.
There's nothing good about it, and you think, no, why? What's that serving? What is the purpose? So obviously, given the reaction from she believes it's all publicity is good publicity. She must believe that, and it means negative, positive, any all the negative positive publicity that she is getting. That was, to me, was just a horrendous new low. There is nothing commendable about it for someone who says thinks she's a really intelligent, bright individuals, doing these
A
podcasts, talking
feminist.
to exactly, and all the stuff, and then she produces this tacky video. Now, again, I've tried to think, could I defend it in any way? No, I can't.
Well,
There's nothing.
I have a question for you because I think that they shot this. Okay, let's pretend her timeline is honest. So they're shooting this while they are doing a mass collection of personal videos for Netflix. Think back to Prince Harry on his during recording his freedom flight on his cell phone. He's about to get on Tyler Perry's plane. Think about Doria shooting them on the couch, watching themselves on Oprah Winfrey. I think that this was likely shot in with the mindset because they're looking at Meghan is playing to the camera. This is not for personal enjoyment. And they're not playing with each other in the video. They're playing to the camera. This is for someone else. I think they shoot this for Netflix and it doesn't fit into their victimhood oh woe is me narrative. You watch that video and it's narcissism. It's
Oh,
oh we're having the time of our lives, and the tone in the Netflix series has to be we've had our butts kicked. So we are the king and queen of the victimhood Olympics, and that's why it didn't make the cut for Netflix. Do you have an opinion, or do you agree
uh,
on that theory?
I well, I think you probably. I haven't thought about it like that before, but yes, I think it does make sense because at that time they would have been trying to get as much stuff as possible, and the home video element or just using the old mobile phone to film stuff is fairly standard practice now. But actually, to even think that you want to do that, I mean, I just think
Well, she
it's.
truly does record everything paparazzi style in the docu-series. She's on allegedly on the phone with Jessica Mulroney and starts to screen record when Prince Harry calls her outside to propose to her while she's on a phone call. So she's screen recording while she's on with Jessica and walks Jessica out to see Prince Harry sitting there with a picnic waiting to propose to her. I mean, Prince Harry, you say you hate the paparazzi. You said I do to it. Like that's who
Well,
you married.
yeah, and she cannot get enough of it because
Yeah.
she wants to promote everything. What Harry needs, and this is so sad because,
A
this.
divorce.
No, I wasn't saying that.
I was.
Yeah, well, you did, but you're entitled to your opinion. He needs to do something, but he's got no friends who can have a word in his shell like to actually say, "Come on, get a grip, boy," because he did have a lot of good friends, but they have got exasperated by you know his behavior. They've tried to go and see him in the States, but he's sort of that it's been made quite clear that from Meghan she doesn't like having these people around, and look, and I know there is a strong um, English community in Los Angeles, and back in the day, when Hollywood, you always used to see the English at play in Hollywood and California. There was a strong English community. It even set up a cricket club in Hollywood, sort of the expat English. And there would be a lot of people who probably are in LA now who may have even gone to school with Harry, so he would have friends, but they've given up on him as well, and they think so he doesn't reach out to anybody to try and just go out and have a beer and someone say, Harry, what's going on here? You know, and just give him a sort of friendly pat on the shoulder and have a sort of bit of me time with someone else instead of basically agreeing to everything that Meghan does and says it must be a good thing to do. Well, did he ever say, no, I don't put that out? Or did she just, I'm doing it?
Mm-hmm. We
Which I
don't.
think is probably more likely happened. And that's what I feel so sad about is
But he
that
did write it,
he's
and he
got,
wrote about it in Spare. So it's not like he was ashamed of it because he writes about this in Spare. He says that they like stuffed their faces and did the baby mama dance.
well, then that's fine. They did that. That's fine about and spare that. But that is great if they did that and were having anything to show that they are, trying to make it as easy as possible and a bit of fun. But actually, what they don't seem now, either of them, is to have fun.
Yeah.
Even the Disneyland thing looks like it's just done for
Contrived.
the done for the wider world. And look at me, we dragged our children, not screaming and kicking, but dragging them to Disneyland in a way that they, is there's no one else. I can't even, I don't think, I've tried to look. Is there any other member of the public around in one of the rides or anything?
Yeah, the
No, it's
behind them, they leave one face and block out another. So I think that's an employee. She's wearing glasses. I think that's an employee, and that's maybe the employee's significant other, that it doesn't have anything to do with them. Because on the ride with only with where Harry and Meghan are in the front, there is somebody that she's not blurred in the back, and then but she did blur the person sitting next to that person. So I suspect that is an employee, maybe the nanny. I don't know. Maybe somebody that works for their new 11 court, their new court of
no, you're not allowed to call it a court.
whatever
It's
it
just an
is.
office, just their office, just their office.
And so they're but you're right. Like they have celebrity routes. They'll get an escort, a Disney escort, and then you go through the back way the entire
Yeah.
time. I don't think they shut down the park for them like they do for Mariah Carey, but I'm sure that they did all the back routes. And at one point, Lily's barefoot. I'm like, put some shoes on that kid. I don't care where, you're at the happiest place on earth, but that doesn't mean it's not also the germiest place
Yeah.
on earth.
Oh, oh,
Oh my
oh.
gosh.
Uh,
But do you mind if we read some of these quotes from this Jezebel article? Because they made a lot of sense to me. And it's actually something you and I talked about
yeah.
months ago. So the article is called Trying and Failing to Make Sense of Meghan Markle's 2016 Influencer Shtick by Jezebel. And it says, just like the Cliff's Notes version of this is what you and I said when With Love Meghan came out. The world has changed. We need things in 45-second sound bites. It's TikTok. Like Meghan's extending things into 45 minutes that could be a 30-second video on social media. And so they say everything from her foodstuffs brand to her podcast interviewing female founders to her incomprehensible Netflix show, and above all, her Instagram posts all reek of the mid 2010s, which is to say it's all very millennial cringe. As a millennial, I'm allowed to say that. And as a millennial, I'm allowed to agree, Rupert. This week, for example, she mused aloud about starting a business with her daughter during a podcast interview with Tina Knowles and posted a throwback video of her and Harry dancing in the delivery room to the Baby Mama song, a YouTube classic from, you guessed it, 2014. Each of those developments has, like every other piece of Meghan content, put me into an irritated, confused spiral of asking things like, why is this happening in the year of our Lord 2025? And more importantly, who the F is this for? She could have been a princess, but she gave it up to be one of countless people talking about seed funding on a podcast and photographs staged of lifestyle content. Since her show premiered earlier this year, Meghan has been active on Instagram. This is what I'm saying, like, sit down. She's been so active on Instagram. It's as if after years of a royalty and then presumably lawyer imposed social media blackout, she can't help herself. She's binging. And these posts have reached a level of basicness that is impossible to compare to anything else besides the lifestyle influencers of the mid 2010s, the ones who, much like Meghan, probably started out blogging before pivoting to Instagram. She's captioned a carousel of photos of her in the box at the Cowboy Carter tour about last night. She's constantly filming her massive garden through a glitzy filter. Did Instagram bring Valencia back just for her? And she's posting 3 different grid posts about her daughter's 4th birthday. I'm sorry, I might have said it was 4. Thank you for clarifying. At a moment when women's actual bodily rights are very much under attack, launching a podcast focused on the woes of women staying up late stressing over the design of their products and packaging is offensively out of touch. In order to profit off her carefully curated coastal grandmother ass vibe, she's not selling $800 sweaters, but cookie mixes and ginger teas for under $20. She seems intent on founding an empire of something, but I have no clue what it is. And I'm just not sure the way to do it is repackaging her 2016 influencer dreams. So this is not coming from like a regular conservative, a regular, this is coming from Jezebel, who typically has been pretty, you know, encouraging of her. So I think if Meghan sees this one, it's going to sting pretty bad.
I think, and she will see it. But that's the point. But she probably won't pay any attention to it. And this is the difficulty for anybody around them trying to say, look, we're not getting the kind of positive press that we should be getting. And, the As Ever launch has been a debacle, let's be honest, because now we don't know whether it's happening or not happening or what's going to be on sale. Now, if she's producing rosé, what has she got a vineyard that she's been cultivating or working with for 2 or 3 years? You can't just suddenly produce a range of rosé. Rosé is not straightforward to produce. I mean, I think I've talked about it before. There's a friend of mine who's just launching um, a building, growing a vineyard to grow and make wine, but she's not going to be seeing any wine for another 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
when was they starting working on this miracle rosé?
Yeah.
Where's
But,
this
but
come
but
from?
Harry and Meghan also, I think we talked about when I said maybe Prince Harry would get into alcohol. They can just slap, it's
Yeah,
basically just an endorsement of somebody
yeah.
else's hard work. They would just
I,
slap their names on it.
I know, and that's what's so disingenuous and so wrong, and that's why people are seeing through it because they know they're just trying to lend their name to try and make money, and that's what's I think people just say that's what people are seeing through because even the spread jam, whatever it is, someone else is making that, you
Yeah.
know. And you just go, oh dear, dear, dear. So the whole thing is frustrating because they're not listening to people who actually know what you need to do to make it work. And they need now to understand the PR game they've got to play has got to be for the long haul. So let's have a period, and this won't happen, where she shuts up,
Yeah.
right? And then she just does nothing and actually does the behind it, gets back down in the office, working hard, and then
Strategy,
saying,
strategy, strategy.
yes, what's working out, right? Where do we want to be in 6 months' time? How are we going to make sure that I've got a product and we've got plenty of it? What do we need to do to bring all these parties together? That's standard practice. What it just seems to me, they make it up as they go along.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because
what, and even the names.
I remember even the names. I remember a few days ago, I was thinking about her on the Drew Barrymore show, and I was trying to remember what she was trying to promote on the Drew Barrymore show. But like she's doing too much, but there's no method to the madness, so it's or it's forgettable, and it's not where you can think back and go, I remember exactly where I was when Princess Diana took her gloves off and touched an AIDS patient. I mean, I know that that is so much more meaningful than loose fruit
Yeah,
spread, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess what I'm
yeah,
saying is there's no method to the madness. She's everywhere all at once, and big, there's no deep messaging behind anything she's doing. So I'm like, was she promoting the podcast there as ever? I think she made cookies. What was she doing there? But oh, I remember. Here's why I thought of it, because um to me, watching all this unfold, I've never seen someone work so hard to convince the world that she's happy. That's what I see in the Disneyland pictures. That's what I see in the twerking pictures. But I was thinking about in the Drew Barrymore interview, she's talking about how Prince Harry's never stopped dating her and they're so hot for each other. In Vanity Fair, they talk about how the Vanity Fair article that was incredibly negative about them said that they're still incredibly hot for each other. Why? And then the twerking video, which to me is vulgar. Why is this such an important point for her to get across? Do you think that that seems like an important point for her too?
yeah.
Even the
Well,
sexy picture she posted on the beach this weekend, the sexy picture she just posted on Instagram.
well, it's all part of trying to prove that, look at me, I found the love of my life and I'm blissfully happy. But she's methinks she does protest too much. The more, it just going on and on. Why? Look, it's a couple. Are you in love? Yes, well, that's fine. You don't need to say anything. We don't need to have it rammed down our throats. Look at me. I'm so desperately in love with my husband. Well, you marriage is, not always the most straightforward of things, but if they've got small children, there will be, good times, there will be frustrating times, but there will ultimately, if you've got a strong marriage, you just get on and you ride through any major hiccups or minor hiccups you have along the way. What we get here now is that this marriage is just like on a fairy tale level at the whole time, just how wonderful it is. It's never,
They're in the honeymoon
the
phase now, Rupert.
oh oh
Jamie Lima, they're in the honeymoon phase.
well
Hours
when
later, Prince Harry goes on the BBC and is like, "I hate my life."
yeah yeah, and he's 2018 they got married, is that right?
Hmm.
Yeah, right. So okay, well that's 7 years. They talk about the 7 year itch
Yeah.
is a phrase. They and she's obviously um gets us this path and obviously married before, but obviously she reckons this is absolutely perfection. But we don't need to hear about it. It's just that to me is unnecessary. We don't hear about it from other people, celebrity couples, out there. Yes, they may say, well, what's my husband like? Or you might meet him, but it's not a great big gushathon
Yeah.
you know, and that's just we don't need to hear it. If she's got class, you just get on with it. Look, I know Brits are often, no public displays of emotion, stiff upper lip, no hand holding and everything, and just get on with it. But thankfully, those days have changed. So, yes, there has to be a degree of, I'm sure, showing your emotions, but we don't need to hear about it. Why does she feel the need whenever she goes and gets interviewed that she's got to say, this is the most amazing marriage? Is she covering up some?
My husband's kind of a fox. Yeah, like what? Chill
Well, well,
out. Like chill
well,
out.
I'm great that he's, but that's, you get married, you fall in love, and that's it. And of course, you probably fell in love because he's a fox. If that's the case, well, let
I
him
think more
continue to
like
be.
a prince, but yes, I'm sure that
Yeah.
I think it's more along the lines of a prince.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah.
it is. It is. To I don't. I, no one seems to care when I stress this, but to me, I feel like what's the most detrimental part of Meghan Markle is the aspect of oversharing. It's the antithesis of the British royal family. The mystique is so beautiful, so sacred, and is what is so, in my opinion, is what's so important. I think I said this to, I can't remember. I just did a documentary the last time I was in town. And when I was doing that documentary, that's when they were arguing with me saying, no, that isn't, haven't we evolved? Hasn't social media helped us evolve? But to me, the mystique still is so important. The Queen certainly had more mystique than King Charles does, but time heals all wounds, and he has buttoned up, and there is some mystery surrounding him and Queen Camilla, and I think that benefits them.
I think the royal family have got to make sure that, they deserve their privacy at any time and conduct their relationships with a degree of privacy, which is often not afforded to them. So now, that's, they've got to be managed like that. But the royal family is supposed to be slightly above us all. Now, whether might consider that an old-fashioned element, but it is there as an institution above the sort of hurly-burly of the sort of political world. And they are there as a constant. So that's what creates the mystique. And I do think it needs to be an element of mystique. Um, I don't think we need to go back to the old days where, they were sort of almost godlike creatures walking around, and when they descended, that's not right. We are in a more open era. The royal family have to appreciate that and make sure that they, as we always say, they've got to bring the general public along with them, and that means you probably do have to do a little bit of, drip feeding of private moments, and we see that, we saw last week the Prince, William and the Duchess of Edinburgh having a good time, knocking back some locally made hooch in Cornwall. I think it was gin actually, but they were having a great fun and down there at the Royal Cornwall Show. But seeing, that they clearly get on well, and that I think is important, that the family seem to be, working ones, that they do actually have the time for each other, and there's not a sense of frustration, because it's a tough gig, and I think there will always be an element of mystery. But what you're getting with Meghan and Harry is no mystery at all. You're just getting an area going, will you just please shut up?
Yeah, please, we're begging of you.
I, I wanted to say it stronger than that, but I'm
Yeah,
afraid I edited myself mid-sentence. But I
good
think you
call.
get my drift, dear
I
viewers.
do. I do. All right, agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Rupert, what a wild ride. And I don't think Meghan's going to slow down anytime soon. She seems to be just lapping it up.
Well, can I say I'm looking forward to seeing you this week in person, because I think you're coming to London. But I just want to share I've had a crisis.
What?
We like to occasionally talk about vegetables,
I do.
right? Some pesky animal of some description that has eaten my beans, my runner beans, my dwarf beans. I woke up yesterday, I'd been away and came back, and my heart sank. So hopefully, though, they will grow back. But my courgettes are happy. And for those who want to know, my wife is very keen on how her aubergines are growing. And I'll leave it there.
Look at my nails I got done for the trip. It's,
Okay, well, I'll bring it, and I think I'm just gonna look in the fridge, and I'll be bringing you some red currant jelly.
oh yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that,
And then we can
absolutely.
we want you to test it and see if, whether you like mine, just as a sort of tester to see whether, if you like my jelly.
Oh, I was
Uh,
going to
uh,
be like, do not make me eat the as ever jelly too, because I know that there's plenty over at our offices.
yeah.
I'm not about to do that. I refuse to do that.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to
Okay.
do that, but
Okay.
I'll happily bring you a little bit of red currant jelly if I've got any left in my fridge. But
Okay,
you
cool.
can have one.
All right, wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing you soon. And thanks so much for your wonderful insight today.
No problem. Safe trip.
Thank you. Bye.